How are you doing? Matt Bland sitting in for Dave Roberts this week here in this week's edition of Red Army TV. Joining me on the couch, we've got Rob, Flynn and Ken Hall. How are you doing, guys?
Yeah, all right.
Surviving.
Surviving. I think everybody else is really. Right, let's kick things off, shall we? Starting off with the Sunderland match, the FA Cup. Starting with you, Rob. What was your opinion on it?
Yeah, I thought we had a really strong first half. Traore really picked up his game. You know, impressive that he's learned how to pass, and now we've added that element. We've got a really good opening goal, and I think it was a bit like the league game. Once we got an early goal, you felt confident from there on, and I think the second half, me and my friends just kind of called it routine. We could have done more if we wanted, but I think the Boro were happy to sit on that 2-0 lead.
Ken?
I sometimes think the other way about early goals. I don't like early goals because I have this feel that the match is going to finish 1-0 and you're going to have 85 minutes of tedium. But fortunately, it didn't work out like that. It turned out to be, I won't say a walkover, but a comfortable win. A little bit slack at times because of that. But overall, first of all, I don't think the result was ever in doubt. No. But secondly, it wasn't the best game in the world, but because it was, we've used that word, routine. It was. I think it was a foregone conclusion we were going to win. And at times it got a bit boring. But back to Traore, that man's going to, I've been saying it for a long time, with the right help and the right people pushing him and coaching him and teaching him to do things and pass the ball more often, he's going to be a winner, that fella, you know that. He's going to do very well. So,
I mean, many were saying it was like a training game. Do you think that was the case, Rob?
I wouldn't go that far. You know, Sunderland tried their best, but I think they had a very limited squad available to them. But, I mean, compared to when we played them in the league, they've actually got worse. So it didn't feel like two teams in the same division. But you could see the Boro, once they got the early goal, had the confidence. You know, Traore particularly, when he gets his kind of head up and he knows he's done something well, he can kind of have a fantastic game. It's those times when he doesn't start so well, he goes missing. But no, I thought it was a very good game.
It was.
Do you think Pulis is getting the team now correct, or do you think he's still got a fair bit of work? Because there are players that he hasn't played and obviously hasn't come across.
I mean,
yet.
He's only had 2 games in charge, Pulis, and my personal view is, well, my jury's still out on whether he's the right choice or not. It's like any new manager comes in, he's going to need time to establish, he's going to need time to look at the players, decide what his best setup or what his best lineup, who can play best with who. And that's going to take more than 2 games. But I suspect he's the sort of manager that will get stuck into it very quickly. He's a very astute manager, he understands players, he understands how players can interact with each other. And I think he will get there, but at the moment I've just got that nagging doubt about his defence. It's not the same defence we had last year. There's a few frailties there. And I think he's probably the man to sort it out. So whilst the jury's out, I have every confidence that he will do the job.
I mean, you look back at his history with Stoke. I mean, we'll come to the presser in a sec. He was obviously going on saying great atmosphere and everything like that. Do you think he could be the manager to get us to an FA Cup final?
I can't say I'm particularly bothered about the FA Cup final. You know, I've been enough FA Cup finals to be let down. But no, the FA Cup's it's always nice. It's always a nice day out, and it's, you know, but it doesn't excite me these days. The FA Cup, it really doesn't.
What about yourself, Rob?
I mean, we'd all love an FA Cup final, I think, but priority's got to be the league, and Pulis will know that's his priority, get us back on track. I was surprised how strong the lineup was on Saturday. I thought Pulis would use it again as another experiment, but it almost seemed like he used it as, actually, I'm starting to firm up my starting 11. I think he knows probably 8 or 9 of his first team players, which compared to Gary Monk, I think by the time he left, he still didn't know his strongest team. And it's nice to see that we will take the cup seriously, and we'll go as far as we can. The tie against Brighton is a favourable one, I think. At home, I think we could easily beat, well, not easily, but we can beat them. And then you just got to see the luck of the draw, and see how it goes. But I don't think it'll be too much of a distraction with the league, because unlike the kind of Carabao Cup, they're all, it replaces your league fixture, and you'll always got time. We've got a big enough squad to cope with extra cup games.
Brilliant. Right, we'll come back to the chat in a sec, but let's see what Pulis had to say after the match against Sunderland. We caught up with him in the press conference.
Do you think that's my best team?
Almost full strength.
Was it? That's your opinion, not mine. We played a strong team, and I played a strong team for the respect of the The FA Cup, I've got great respect for the FA Cup. I think the FA Cup is the best cup competition in the world. Having been there with Stoke and taken the team there to Wembley, you know, it was a fantastic experience for everybody, supporters, players, coaching staff. If you can do it again, I'd be absolutely delighted.
Stewie Downing, 600 appearances in his career. Sunderland was his 600th game. Do you think he's still going strong? Come here, Rob.
Yeah, I think he's. I mean, to be honest, it looked like, you know, his days were numbered at the Boro when Monk came in, and you know, his performances haven't been fantastic for us in this spell. But in this season, he's, you know, credit to him. He's come back in, and he's really pushed on. And we were saying on Saturday how he's got that extra step of energy. You see him chasing down things. And he does look like a really important player of the team again, and he will be an important player going on to the rest of the season. Hopefully, a successful promotion push. I think he's done so well to almost kind of reinvent himself. You know, he doesn't have the pace that he did before, but he can still create and kind of pull strings in a game.
Yeah, I can agree with all that. But when you say that it looked like his days were numbered with Monk, I think his days were numbered with Karanka. Let's be honest, because it goes back a long time. It goes back 2 years where he's been marginalised for whatever reason. People didn't think he was up to it, and this season, though, I mean, he has been a bit of a revelation compared to what, you know, the 2 years where previous to that, where he got a lot of barracking from the crowd. He was called a trouble causer. He was the man that broke up the dressing room. He got everything thrown at him, and to me, it meant that the Boro fans were in a position it's like Marmite, isn't it? You either hate him, or you love him. Yeah. And he was in that position where half the fans were booing and half were cheering. But now I think probably the vast majority have realised that, you know, he's still got a bit to give. Yeah. Whether he could do it in a Premier League if we get there, I don't think so. Because he may only have 2 years left in him anyway, because although he's got a life beyond football, obviously. But yes, you're right, he's had a wonderful season this season. What brought it about, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to see him chip in with a few more goals.
Wasn't anything to do with Karanka going, do you think?
Who knows? Who knows? I'd like to see him chip in with a few more goals, though, because I think, yes, he is pulling the strings, but, you know, I think the Stewie of old that we knew got a few more goals, and I think we need to use him more kind of set pieces and things like that, because I think we need more goals from the midfield, you know, completely, all the different players.
Well, there aren't many there at the moment, are there?
No.
Midfield goals.
Right, thanks for them comments anyway, guys. Right, let's see what you guys have been saying on social media. He's Neil, was this week's social media news.
Hi, my name is Neil Dybot, and let's see if I have a look to see what you've been saying on social media. Adam Clayton has said, "Great to be back out there today, lads. No better feeling. Thank you for the reception." Neil Granger has simply tweeted, "Middlesbrough stroll past them now." Rudy Gestead has said, "I'd like to thank the Boro medical staff for all their help and rehabilitation over the past 3 months, and for the fans for the kind messages while I was out injured. That goal was for you." Awesome. Martin Braithwaite has simply said, "Exciting draw. Time to make more Boro history." And finally, Victoria Gibson has said, "Thank you for all the birthday messages to her dad. He has seen them all and is very touched. I plan on getting him well and truly smashed in Scotland." Brilliant. Hope you had a drink on us as well. If you'd like to get in touch with us, simply send your social media messages to us at Boro Red Army. And back to the studio.
Thanks for that, Neil, and for keeping my seat warm this week. Done a good job, lad. Right, talking about Traore. Now, he's been, many would say, a kind of funny player for us. He's obviously hogging the ball at times, and people were screaming at him. I've been in the Riverside playing at times where people who say to him, just pass the ball. Do you think he's finally getting to that point now where he's realising, look, there's somebody up front, let's get the ball to him and get him back to the net?
I suspect somebody's had a word with him, because the last 2 or 3 games he's actually learned how to pass the ball, which is not something I'd seen in him before. In fact, he was so fast he ended up passing it to himself, but that's about as far as it went. But yeah, I think somebody's had a word in his little shell likes and said, "Pass the ball, pal."
Yeah, and I think you know, I'll be honest, when that Cardiff game and he came on with 10 minutes to supposedly try and win it, and he gave the penalty away, I was prepared to not see Traore play for us again. I thought, I've had enough of this guy. There's too much risk with him compared to what you can get out of him. But I think what Pulis has done so far is, because he's not pushing the wing backs on, he doesn't have to come back and do that defending part. So we're losing at that risk element, and now he can kind of be a bit more free, go forward. I will, say it with caution because it's only early days, and I think Traore is going to be one of these players where he'll go through a hot streak and we'll all love him, and then he'll do nothing for games and games. But if Pulis can get, the most out of him for the rest of the season, we've got, quite an asset on our hands. And even if it comes to the summer and someone decides to take money off, it's going to only be a good thing.
That's good there. It's obviously got a starting prospect then with Pulis, and looking like he's got a good future at Middlesbrough. Right, we've got plenty more to talk about in the second half, but let's go and make some money and go to the break.
Outside of the Riverside, where it finished Middlesbrough 2, Sunderland 0 in the FA Cup tie. Boro quite comfortable in the end. The visitors couldn't really live with the pace of RedArmyTV in the early stages. He set up the first goal for Rudiger instead, where he ran through the middle and then played the ball through for the striker. Boro got their second when Jason Steele, a mistake from him, the former Middlesbrough goalkeeper, allowed Martin Braithwaite to make it 2-0 just before half-time. Boro set off a little bit in the second half, really took their foot off the accelerator and hit Sunderland on the break, conceded a bit of possession, but the visitors didn't have much going forward, only really one major save for Darren Randolph to save from the Sunderland corner. 2-0 it finished, and Boro into the fourth round of the FA Cup.
Welcome back to the second half of Red Army TV. Joining me on the couch, we've still got Rob, Flynn and Ken Hall. And also keep your comments coming into us on Facebook Live as well. We've had Richie Beach get in touch. He said, will Clayton stay and fight for his place? And do you think we'll sell to Sommerlonger? Is it right he's not happy? Sure, you guys will have all the answers. Well, start with you, Ken. Do we have the answers? Do you think Clayton will stay off and fight for his place?
Well, Clayton and Forshaw, I don't know which one's which these days because, they're like, sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't. I don't even know where they are. I mean, are they on the bench? Are they playing? Are they off somewhere? I just don't know what's going on. It's a sad thing that nobody's telling us what's going on. Do you know what's going on? Where are they? Why aren't they playing? Does he want them?
Well, I think we've probably seen the last of Forshaw. I think, I know Pulis has said he's using these games to work out who he wants, and Forshaw, I think he'll be frustrated. He's been here for a couple of years now. He probably deserves a first team place at some club. So I could see him moving on in January. Clayton, I was concerned about, big fan of Clayton. And me and my friends were saying if he doesn't get involved in the Sunderland game in any way, he must be going. So we were quite happy, as well as I think the crowd reaction showed on Saturday when Clayton came on, that actually he's going to be part of this squad.
Is there.
And I think there might be people who come in for him. I think a certain manager at Forest might come after him now, but I think Pulis will know what kind of player he's got, and for me it's a Pulis type player, and I think Clayton will have his part to play as long with sort of key components. Sommerlonger, I don't think so. I don't think he'll be going anywhere. I think it's going to be between him and Gestead, and if we can fit them both in, that's fantastic. But we certainly won't be getting rid of someone who's got 12 goals already.
I like the prospect of those two playing up front together, though, because when he tried it out, particularly with Shotton and his long throws or his free kicks, the idea was that one would head over to the other, and sadly every time the header came across, Sommerlonger was nowhere near the ball. He was out of touch. He needed to be tucking in behind him, feeding off. Shotton in, one head on, a Sommerlonger. But that didn't work. So whether he dropped to Sommerlonger to sort of give him a little kick.
Well, was it dropping, or was he just resting him?
Well, that's I'm not sure what the difference is, but you could you could well be right. Because we're going to save you for the league games. It's quite possible. Yeah, I'd like to think so. Because a Sommerlonger at the end of the day he can be a bit lazy, but he's a goal scorer. Yeah. Long before the times, certainly by European rule, but you go back to some of the players that Middlesbrough had all teams have had in the past. A lot of them were lazy. We used to call them goal poachers. But what did they do? They scored goals.
I hear a lot of people complain about someone. He did nothing today but score. Brilliant. People used to say that about Mark Viduka all the time. He's done nothing today but score. I'll take a striker who does nothing and scores every other game than a man who's running about doing, like a headless chicken doing nothing. But I agree with you. If we can get them in the same team together, I think we could have a real pair on our hands. And as you said before, Pulis has only had a few games, so he's he's worked out maybe some of his key players, but he hasn't had a chance to look at everyone. And we've still got plenty of the season left.
I think it would be very foolish for any manager to say that, for a footballer that costs so much and he's our leading goal scorer, you can't just drop him. Yeah. You can't just say, I don't like you, or find somebody else. I suspect he'll be back in the team.
Yeah.
Immediately.
I think he'll be back for Fulham.
Back in. And I think he may well run with Shotton or Sombalonga,
Let's go back to the Sunderland game then, just very briefly. Again, the second half. Do you think Middlesbrough slacked off because obviously the 2 goals? Do you think it was that's it, done deal?
Yeah, I think we did. I think it didn't sound like Pulis was too happy that we did. It sounded like he wanted us to kind of keep pushing on, but I think the players, and we see it time and time again, for the Boro especially, we get 2 or 3 in front, you rub your hands and think, right, we can go at these, and quite often we'll just sit back and kind of defend it and hope. And if Sunderland had nicked a goal, it might have made it a bit kind of scary, but I don't think they were good enough. And I think we knew that, and we just kind of sat back off and waited.
I think they did take the eye off the ball a little bit. Thought, we've got 2 goals, we're going to win this. Let's not exert ourselves. My tea's on the table. We just want to get this over and done with and get off home.
I mean, look at when you were at the Riverside, the Red Faction had a big banner. We'll put it up on screen actually. Showing big lion looking down at a black cat.
Absolutely,
do you think that really summed up the game?
Superb.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I go to that ground and they come up with these banners, that's got to be one of the best I've ever seen. And it was so graphic, just 2 things on it, no words, just 2 things, a lion and a scared cat, and the contrast between it, so absolutely superb.
Yeah, I thought it was one of the best banners the Red Faction's done. I think that was unveiled before the game, but it perfectly summed up exactly what happened in the game.
Brilliant. Right, we've got plenty more to talk about, but first let's catch up with Heidi. She's back this week with this week's Boro in 60 seconds.
Good evening, I'm Heidi Spencer and this is Boro in 60 seconds. Middlesbrough will meet Brighton in the 4th round of the FA Cup after beating Sunderland 2-0 on Saturday. The 4th round tie will take place on the weekend of January 27. Boro have been awarded an extra allocation for the game against QPR on Saturday the 20th of January. They have been given a further 1,300 tickets after the allocation of 1,700 tickets was sold out. Connor Ripley was ushered straight into Bury's side for their league match at Plymouth just days after joining the club on loan. It was an eventful afternoon for the goalkeeper who saved a penalty and made a stunning stop against Tumani Diogoraga. Lewis Wing also made his debut for his new loan club at the weekend as a 78-minute substitute in Yeovil's FA Cup match against Bradford City. Red Army would like to congratulate Steve Gibson, who celebrated his birthday on the 9th of January, and also Grant Ledbetter, who turned 32 on the 7th of January. And that was Boro in 60 seconds.
Thanks for that, Heidi, and good to see you back. Right, we had a poll on Twitter and Facebook this week. And I don't know if you've noticed you've been to Riverside or not, but there's been no goal music for the past, maybe a year or so. And we put a tweet out there to say whether or not if you wanted the music back. On Twitter, it's been quite divided really, because on Twitter, 65% said no, they didn't. However, on Facebook, it was 66% said yeah. I mean, Ken, do you think we should have music when the goals?
I think there's so many important things to talk about, but but this I think it's a bit of a comedy. I mean, I've complained before, but particularly a couple of minutes before the game starts about the music, that it drowns out the supporters and it seems to be too loud. But as music after a goal, I think it's not for me. I don't think it's a bit Americanized. It's a bit rah-rah. Nah. I don't fancy the idea of Lady Gaga blasting out just because she's got a
I think I agree. I think in the Premiership years we didn't notice there was any goal music because there wasn't any goals. But I think now, I certainly haven't missed it, and I'd be a bit disappointed if they brought it back. I think it stops that natural, singing into the EIO and all other songs, and the Red Faction building up the drum and stuff like that. So I'm quite happy that if it stays away.
No, bro. I mean, I must admit, I've not missed it, and I must admit, in the past couple of matches I've been to, I can't say I've noticed it hasn't been there. Because really, you want to get the crowd up and cheering. You want to hear the crowd more than you do the music, don't
Absolutely,
you?
yeah.
Maybe the music does add to the party type atmosphere, but you get there anyway. There is,
Yeah.
so
I've never been at a away game and, you know, unfortunately we've conceded and I thought, oh, what great goal music they have on there. You know, I don't think anyone wants goal music. I think it's kind of, never already said it's a bit Americanising.
You could play it in certain sections of the ground where the younger ones are. They might enjoy it.
Yeah, possibly.
But
or the build-up of the game
Yeah,
and then
you
stop
know.
just before kick-off.
Something like that. But
right, looking ahead then, we've got Fulham next game. Ken, what type of team do you think Pulis will stick in for that?
well, sadly, I won't be in the country for the Fulham game, but I'll be away on one of my jaunts around the world. But I suspect he could well play the same team that he played against Sunderland, because it was quite a strong team. It was a lot stronger team than I expected. I mean, what about Clayton and Forshaw? I mean, potentially they could have started the game and left Howson and Ledbetter out, or put them on the bench and give those two a run. But I think he'll probably play the same team, I think.
I think I'd agree, yeah.
Although, sorry, I think the Somalong will be back in.
Who do you think will drop out for that then?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know, because we didn't see a great deal against Sunderland because they were sort of relaxed a lot of the time. There's nobody sort of pushed on.
There's not an obvious candidate to drop,
There
I
isn't,
guess.
is there?
But I agree. I think Pulis kind of knows his defence now. He likes Shotton at right back. He likes Friend. You know, Howson is getting stronger and stronger as the season goes along. Ledbetter is the kind of heartbeat of the team. And I think in those front positions, he's obviously, Gestead is, you know, is his go-to man. Downing's in there. Traore, you know, he's going to keep his place. So I think the only one who might be threatening to lose his place is Braithwaite, but he scored, so I think he'll go same again.
Very briefly then, what do you think the score's going to be against Fulham?
Tough game, tough team. I think 1-1.
Ken?
I think it might be better than that. I think you could be looking 2, maybe 3-0.
Brilliant. Right, guys, thank you very much for joining us. We're running out of time. And don't forget, we've got seats available on the coach for the QPR match. See us next week.